Hi guys, welcome back. Today I have another review video, and this surprisingly was one of the most requested reviews that I've had recently, so I'm really excited to review it today. And it's actually two products from the same brand, and they're both by Bourjois. The first one is the 123 Perfect 3 Correcting Pigment Zero Imperfections Foundation. I was so excited when I learnt about this because it just has so many things about it that just excite me, and it promises a lot, which is really nice because it'd be perfect to see. It'd be great to see if it can deliver. And the next thing I have, which I thought kind of coincides with it, and I'll try them and review them together, is the Happy Light Base Serum. Now this is basically a mattifying primer that's meant to diminish pores, make your makeup last longer, all the basic things that a mattifying primer claims to do. So what I'm going to do before I kind of talk to you about my thoughts is I wanted to show you guys the application process, because I feel like that's a really important part of a review. You need to see the skin before and after, you need to see how it applies, how easy it is, and what the coverage looks like from start to finish. Because it's no good me kind of saying to you, I'm wearing this now, because you're like, well, yeah, but what did your skin look like before? So I'm going to insert a little clip of me applying it. Okay, so this is my face without makeup, not the best sight. So I'm going to apply the primer first, and I'm just going to put like one, perhaps 2 pumps or 3, and I'm just going to pat that really gently in the areas that I do have larger pores. But to be honest with you, because the consistency is so creamy, I'm just going to apply it to the whole of my face just to make sure I get a really even coverage. And the one thing I'll say is it feels very, very light. It smooths onto the skin really nicely, and it just feels incredibly light, which is really nice because you don't want your foundation weighed down. And yeah, I'm just going to blend that in. Okay, so starting with my foundation, I'm going to apply it using my beauty blender because I just feel like this is a really nice way to test it. You don't have to buff too much. And I'm just going to apply 2 pumps to the back of my hand, and it's a really runny consistency, as you can see. So I'm just going to dip my beauty blender in and start to pat it on. I tend to use my beauty blender in a patting motion. I don't feel the need to blend at all because this gives a really seamless, lovely coverage. And as you can see, the colour match is pretty good for me. It's not too dark, it's not too light, it's pretty much my perfect skin tone, to be honest with you. It's really matched me quite well. And I'm just going to blend that in, making sure that there's no harsh edges and it's all blended into the skin really nicely. But it feels really light, it applies really nicely, and yeah, it's given a really nice even coverage throughout, so I'm really impressed with it. And it does look very dewy, it looks like skin but better. And yeah, so I'm just going to continue to kind of pat the product in just to make sure that it's all evenly distributed. But so far it's been a really easy application. It doesn't feel heavy, it doesn't feel like it needs blending, it's just kind of seeped into the skin really nicely. And what I have noticed, it's dealt really well with the pigmentation that I have on the side of my cheeks from acne scarring. So yeah, now I've finished doing the rest of my makeup, and I'm sorry about the bare face, it's just not a pretty sight. But yeah, I've finished my makeup now, and I've been wearing this for 2 hours, and I can definitely say that for me, it feels like a cream to powder finish foundation. It feels very calm and smooth on the skin. It feels very, very matte, even though it doesn't look too kind of matte. It feels like it's really stuck onto the skin nicely. Does it feel heavy or cakey? But it does definitely feel like a powder finish. I haven't applied any powder on top. Normally I would set my foundation, but because I'm reviewing this foundation right now, I wanted to see how it would cope by itself. And I definitely am super impressed because I haven't actually set it at all. I put some bronzer on, a bit of contour on my cheekbones. That's pretty much it as far as my skin goes. And I was really impressed by it. This actually claims to do 3 things because it has 3 colour correcting pigments in here. There's a yellow pigment, which is meant to get rid of any kind of dark circles, that kind of thing, make the skin look more refreshed, replenished, and prevent dullness, I guess. The next thing we have is an anti-dullness complexion, which I really like because even though this looks quite mattifying on my skin, I'm not wearing any highlighter, and I do feel like my skin is quite dewy and fresh. It definitely feels like a demi-matte finish. It doesn't feel too matte and it doesn't feel kind of too dewy. It just looks like skin, and even though it has that mattifying feel to it where it just feels like it's really kind of stuck onto the skin, it looks really fresh, it looks really luminous in the complexion. Even though it's not a luminous foundation, it does look like it highlights in the right places, which I really appreciate because it makes the skin look fresh and glowy. The next thing it has is an anti-redness, which is perfect for me because I actually suffer, which you'll probably see in the clip that I just showed you, redness around the nose area. I definitely have some acne scarring in this area here that I like to cover, and as you can see, it's covered it really, really well. I'm not wearing any concealer today at all, which is surprising for me because normally I always opt for a concealer because I do have redness. I do have slight under eye circles, not too bad. It's definitely more redness and pigmentation that I do suffer with, but I haven't put any concealer on, which is crazy for me because normally that is one of my first steps. So I am really impressed by this. I've only been wearing it a couple of hours and it's definitely stuck really nicely. It's lasted really well. I can't say how it's going to last for the full day, and what I will do is I'll pop back in about 5 or 6 hours time, and then you can begin to see how well it's lasted. But so far I'm super impressed. I don't feel like I'm wearing a foundation. It's incredibly light. I like the packaging as well, it's really nice. So I love this product so far. I think it's great. The next one I have to talk about is the primer. Now I love primers, but sometimes I do have a lot of gripes with them because if they're not quite the right consistency and they are quite heavy, they can tend to weigh your foundation down, and I don't like that because I feel like I don't want to feel like I'm wearing a full face of makeup. Even if I am, I don't want that first step to be very heavy and clog the pores. I actually really like this. It's a very creamy texture, as you'll see from the application, and basically I just patted it into my skin where I needed it, where I have large pores. I just kind of put it everywhere really, because I do find that when you do apply primer to the whole face, it just lets everything melt in more seamlessly and it just looks more flawless. And if it is a cream primer, that's really easy to do. If it's like a gel primer or it's quite heavy, or a stick primer, that can be more difficult because it's quite hard to spread. But because the consistency of this is nice and light, it was nice just to even off onto the skin, and it was just really mattifying. It really, really does produce oil production, and I do feel like my skin is a lot kind of drier than it normally is, which is fantastic for me because I do have oily skin normally, and like I said, normally I would have set my foundation, but it's really surprising to learn that I haven't, and I still have that kind of mattifying properties to the skin. It's really, really nice. It was very, very light in its application. It didn't feel heavy, and I do feel like it did make a difference. It would be definitely interesting to see how this fares if I don't wear the primer. Perhaps I'll give you an update in like a few weeks time, let you guys know. If you'd be interested, comment down below and let me know. But so far I think these two make the perfect partnership. Very, very light, they complement each other really well, and I feel like this just gives this a little more lasting power and just helps it to stay in place for that little bit longer. Hi guys, so I thought I would pop back really, really quickly. It's now 8 o'clock at night, and as you can see, it's stayed really well. It has diminished ever so slightly. It's not as perfect as it was before, but it's definitely by no means like come off. It's like kind of slided down my face. It doesn't feel heavy. It's still giving me really, really good coverage. So yeah, I'm super, super impressed with it. I think that this foundation retails for $10.99. Don't quote me on it. I'll link it down below for you guys if you want to check it out. But this is meant to give you 16 hours, and I feel like this foundation so far feels like it has stayed put. So I can't see it struggling to give me that coverage for that amount of time. If it doesn't, I'll put a little annotation at the end of the video to let you know. But if it did stay put, you can just assume, if I haven't put an annotation, that it lasted really, really well. And yeah, so far really happy with it. It's dealt with everything that it said it would do. It's dealt with redness. My complexion doesn't look dull or tired, which is great. And also it has covered the circles underneath my eyes really well, especially considering the fact that I'm not wearing a concealer. As far as the primer goes, made it last really, really well. It's a light base. It's not weighed me down. I really like it. It's helped with oil control. Love these two, especially together. I think they're fantastic. So guys, I hope you found this review helpful. Comment down below, let me know if you've used these, let me know what you think about this review, if there's anything that I could have done any better for my next review. Thanks very much for watching. Also comment down below if you have any more requests, because I'd love to hear from you. Thanks very much for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!